Welcome to TV Papua News of May 2015. In this episode, International Consultation on Papua 2015 to discuss the situation of human rights in Papua. Access to Papua open for foreign journalists. Indonesia to block Melanesian solidarity. PNG Prime Minister Peter O'Neill backs Widodo's bid to join Melanesian group. 84 arrested and 5 injured during peaceful demonstrations to support West Papua's bid to the MSG. West Papuan football team tours in the Netherlands. Papua now joins global protest against Western corporational tactics. We begin with International Consultation on Papua 2015 to discuss the situation of human rights in Papua. Church leaders, human rights defenders, academics and international observers gathered in Brussels from May 4th till 7th for the International Consultation on Papua 2015 to discuss the situation of human rights in Papua. The participants of ICP meeting also met in the European Parliament on May 5th upon the invitation of Ms. Ana Gomez, member of European Parliament, to discuss the current situation in Papua. They are concerned with the most recent developments in Papua that have been marked with increased violence committed by the Indonesian security forces against the indigenous Papuans. Until now, ICP concluded Papuans have experienced a demographic shift in which they have become a minority in their own land. This concern has been confirmed by the study of West Papuan project at the University of Sydney. Access to Papuan open for foreign journalists. President of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, have stated that the access of foreign journalists to Papua is to be opened. And he added that foreign journalists who come to Papua no longer need a special permit, which would be the same as if the journalist was coming to cover other areas in Indonesia. For foreign journalists no longer a problem. What else? Jakarta need a permit? No, 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 Jokowi said firmly. When mentioned about the Indonesian clearinghouse that have been limiting the foreign journalists' access to Papua, the president said there will no longer be a clearinghouse. And when he was asked again whether as president he believes in his statement, the president said he was very confident. I have conveyed to the ranks here in Papua the minister, in the TNI commander-in-chief of police, has it all. What is lacking? Asked President Jokowi again. Previously, the Alliance of Independent Journalists specifically noted until 2015 the freedom of the press in Papua is still restrained. The Institute Clearinghouse has been used to restrict access to any foreign journalist who wish to cover in Papua. And in fact, every foreign journalist who managed to gain access to cover Papua are often followed or escorted, doing work that journalists are not free in performing their public duties. Local journalists were often intimidated, and there are even some cases of murdered journalists. Giving full disclosure access to journalists in Papua will give the public information that is more credible and more trustworthy, and also can be the reliable eyes and ears for Indonesian rule. Indonesia to block Melanesian solidarity. The Indonesian president's visit to Papua New Guinea represented Jakarta's latest heavy-handed attempt to pressure members of the Melanesian Spearhead Group into not supporting West Papua's application for membership.
We have also agreed for Papua New Guinea's support for Indonesia to become an associate member of the Melanesian Spearhead Group, which Papua New Guinea will gladly.
The diplomatic importance of the meeting cannot be overstated with the critical MSG meeting upcoming on the 21st of May. At that meeting, foreign ministers from member states are due to discuss West Papua's membership request submitted by the ULMWP. This organization anticipates that Indonesian President Widodo is traveling to Port Moresby to try and drive a wedge between Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and fellow members of the MSG. Indonesia, which is now an observer member of the MSG, is opposed to the West Papuan membership of the sub-regional organization. In February, Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi visited Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands and Fiji in another attempt to suppress support for West Papua, as well as to discuss trade deal agreements. In advance of President Widodo's visit to Papua New Guinea, the ULMWP spokesman Benny Wenda stated, "From one Melanesian to another, I thank Prime Minister O'Neill for his recent expressions of support for the West Papuan people and to speak out on our behalf. Papua New Guinea has always been our big brother in Melanesia and across the Pacific." President Widodo's trip comes hot on the heels of his visit to West Papua last week, which involved deployment of more than 6,000 security personnel. During his visits, people of Papua New Guinea took to the streets to protest against the Indonesian president and to show support for West Papua. But even in PNG, peaceful protesters get arrested for protesting against Indonesia. Indonesian Air Force illegally flew into PNG airspace with fighter aircrafts in an attempt to pressure PNG. 84 arrests and 5 injured during peaceful demonstrations to support West Papua's bid to the MSG. Across West Papua, people held peaceful protests to support the membership bid of West Papua within the Melanesian political platform, the MSG. During the protests in Port Numbai, Nabire, and Wamena, 84 people got arrested and 5 others got injured by the hands of Indonesian security forces. The organization of the protest was done by the KNPB, which is active in different regions in West Papua, and is a peaceful protest organization who has been targeted more often in the past by different Indonesian security forces in an attempt to repress the call for a free West Papua. The following images show human suffering and can be shocking for some. We show them to inform about the human rights violations within West Papua and to build up global pressure on perpetrator Indonesia.
Pegang apa? Mana? Ada apa? Ini nih, kakak ada.
Kakak jangan main pukul dong, Pak.
Tidak usah lari. Tenang.
West Papua football team tours in the Netherlands. Under 19 football team of Christa Relif from West Papua toured through the Netherlands. From 600 talents, the best 35 have been selected for this tour in which they played friendly matches against the youth teams of professional Dutch clubs. During the month, they had the opportunity to train with Dutch facilities and to take a look at different professional training complexes. The goal was to get talent selected for training internships or even professional contracts. The goalkeeper and the striker have been on a training internship during this month. TV Papua interviewed director of Cresta Relif and director of professional football club Den Bosch about the results of the tour.
We are talking with Fred van der Hoorn, technical director FC Den Bosch. Could you explain us a little bit more about these two players which I just mentioned? Marinus Wanewa and Bernardus Kasse.
Well, first of all, we are physical very strong. We are now training with the under-19s, and as the goalie is only 16 years of age at this moment of time, He's a big physical lad. He unfortunately has a little bit pain on his shoulder because he had a hard training session early this morning with our goalkeeper trainer, who's a former goalkeeper as well in Scotland and in the Netherlands. And he said he has a good quality and good talent to become something better than it did at this moment of time. The other one is a striker who's very aggressive. He wants to score goals. He's a strong lad as well. He's fast and his technical ability is proven at this moment.
So we're looking towards a bright future, maybe business-wise, maybe in terms of partnership between FC Den Bosch and Relif Christa.
Yes, that's something else that I would think would be better if this happened in the future, because of by having this relationship with Den Bosch here, we have the opportunity of providing the talents from Papua. And there is the bridge that can connecting these two parties to become, say, in the relationship.
Papua NL joins global protest against Western corporational tactics. Papua NL represented the indigenous Papuan culture at the protest against Western corporations and the trade agreements in The Hague, which was called the March Against Monsanto and TTIP for Mother Earth. This protest was a part of a global protest in which almost 500 cities around the world took to the streets. The US company Monsanto created a monopoly position within the food industry in which they produce genetically modified foods, pesticides that kill all plants and animals except for modified Monsanto seeds, seeds that only grow one season, pay universities for positive research results, lobbies governments levels from local to global to steer decision-making, and has close connections with the traditional media platforms. For now, this was TV Papua News. Safe travels for coming month. Tabea.